So today's Dhamma will be verse number 9 and 10. Oops. So the verse is called Anika Savo Kasavang Yo Vatang Paritahisati Apeto Dhammasachena Naso Kasava Marahati. This is the first gatha. And the second one is Yocha Vantakasa Savasa Silesu Susamahito Peto Dhammasachena Sache Kasamavarahati. And this is the two the verses that's spoken by the Buddha in relation to the Venerable Devadatta. And which means, the first gatha means that he who is not free from attaints of a moral defilements, kilesas, and yet dons the yet, despite of wearing the yellow robes, who lacks restraint in his senses and speaks not the truth, is unworthy of the yellow robes. Okay? So that is the first one. And the second one is he who has discarded.
Okay.
He who has discarded all moral defilements, kilesas, who is established in moral precepts, is endowed with restraint and speak the truth, is indeed worthy of the yellow robes. Now this is talking about wearing robes. This is talking about basically if you are not practicing in accordance with the teachings and haven't overcome or abandoned all the asavas, the tents, then you're not worthy of wearing that robes. And the story was that once the Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana, two chief disciples that I have referred so many times, that Sariputta was the first-hand side, the right-hand side of the Buddha in relation to the wisdom, and the second, the Moggallana, is a left-hand side in relation to the supernormal powers. So these two disciples, wherever they go, Buddha felt comfortable and he does not feel any need or worries in that direction. So that was these two monks. So they went from Savatthi to Rajagaha. The Savatthi is the city where Buddha stayed most of the time, where this great temple, the Jetavana, is there, and I traveled to Rajagaha. The Rajagaha is nearby Buddha Gaya. There, the people of Rajagaha invited them with their 1,000 followers to a morning meal. So having seen that the two venerable chief disciples have arrived in Rajagaha, the people in Rajagaha invited them for the meal. On that occasion, someone handed over a piece of cloth worth 1,000 to the organizers of the alms-giving ceremony. So the villagers invited the two monks to have a meal, morning meal, and that a person comes and offer a robe, a piece of cloth to the monks worth 1,000. Sorry, not 1,000, 100,000. Yeah, so it's a really expensive one, really expensive cloth being offered to the monks. Now, the Venerable Sariputta, as being just a visitor, he instructed them to dispose of it and use the proceeds for the ceremony should there be any shortage of funds, or if there were no such shortage, to offer it to anyone of the bhikkhus they thought fit. Oh, sorry, this was first offered to the villagers, and then if the shortage of the fund, he can sold it, and it remains to offer to the monks. It so happened that there was no shortage of anything, and the cloth was to be offered to one of the Theras. Since the two chief disciples visited Rajagaha, only occasionally the cloth was offered to Devadatta, who was a permanent resident of Rajagaha. And now this similar story happened in modern day in Myanmar. The story from the Myanmar. It happened that there was one occasion one family in the village was preparing and invited the monks for the weekend service. And it happened that he announced the villagers that, okay, on the Sunday, on a Sunday, venerable monks are coming for the blessings in this house. And whoever would like to join, please do come. And then not only that, since he invited the monks, he began to prepare the seats, prepare the place, cleaning the surrounding of the house, like that. And having seen that, the host is preparing for the monks, and the neighbors came and helped cleaning, helped preparing the seats and the place, etc. But there was one particular person who was standing by, just nearby, and watching all these activities going on. And a few while later, the host recognized that this man had been standing and watching. So he wondered and went to ask what happened. And this man, the host, goes and asks, "Oh, I have seen you standing here for a long time. Are you okay?" And then this man standing behind says, "Oh, I am so happy to see that you have invited the venerable monks for the ceremony. And I'm very happy to see, and I feel so honored to see it, that all the villagers and neighbors are coming and preparing. Unfortunately, I can't help. I can't help." And I was saying, "Why? Please do and help." And then he said, "Oh, my stomach is empty. I am hungry, so I can't help." And in that case, the host said, "Okay, wait a minute." So host goes back to the house and prepares some meal and prepares some food and comes back and gave it to him. And then host goes back again preparing. And a little while later, the host again saw this man is still standing. Host goes back and asks, "What's wrong now? Are you okay?" And he said, "I feel so happy that you have invited the monks and preparing this place. And everyone is here to prepare. I feel so joyous, but I'm so sorry I can't help today. Then the host asked, why? Because I have just eaten. I am full. Yeah, my stomach is full, so I can't move. So this story teaches that when there is an occasion, people will make every excuses not to do. Yeah? This is completely two different stories now. But the story is simply, relating that when the villages invite monks normally, and all the neighbors would come and help, and it's like a great feast after venerable monks go back to the temple. And this I've experienced a lot in Thailand as well. Whenever I am visiting in Thailand, particularly in remote places and villages, this is the case. And how the robe was offered to the Devadatta. And Devadatta promptly made the cloth into robes and moved about pompously wearing them. Yeah, so he without thinking anything, he simply converted that cloth into the robes. Then a certain bhikkhu from Rajagaha came to Savatthi to pay homage to the Buddha and told him about Devadatta and the robe made out of cloth worth 100,000. So it's a very expensive robe. The Buddha then said that it was not the first time that the Devadatta was wearing robes that he did not deserve. And Devadatta is the rival, actually, always trying to cause some problems to the Buddha and the Sangha. And this is again another case. So then the Buddha told the story that once there was an elephant, there was an elephant hunter in one of his previous, one of the lives. At that time, in a certain forest, there lived a large number of elephants. One day, the hunter noticed that these elephants kneel down to the Pacceka Buddhas. Now, Pacceka Buddhas, there are three types of Buddhas. One is called Samma Sambuddha, and the second one is called the Pacceka Buddha, and the third one is called the Savaka Buddha. Savaka Buddha is like we are, but a person who have attained the enlightenment. So someone who has heard the Buddha's teachings and then gain enlightenment is known as the Savaka Buddhas. Pacceka Buddhas, they didn't hear the teachings from the Buddha, but self-realization, but unable to teach or do not teach anybody else. And then they will not be arise during the dispensation of any Buddha's time. The third one is the Samma Sambuddha, one who had gained the enlightenment and the ability to teach others to be enlightened. And here all the elephants in that forest were respecting to the Pacceka Buddha under the one tree whenever they walked past. And having observed that, the hunter stole an upper part of a yellow robe and covered his body and hand with it. So he was basically using that robe to cover himself, pretending that he is the Pacceka Buddha. Then holding a spear in his hand. So he waited for the elephants on their usual route. The elephants came and taking him for a Pacceka Buddha, fell down on their knees to pay respect. Then easily fell a prey to the hunter. Thus, one by one, he killed the last elephant in the row each day for many days. The Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, was then the leader of the herd. Noticing the dwindling number of his followers, he decided to investigate and followed his herd. At the end of the line, he was alert and was therefore able to evade the spear. He caught hold of the hunter in his trunk and was about to dash him against the ground, when he saw the yellow robe. Seeing the yellow robe, he desisted and spared the life of the hunter. So the robe becomes the important part. So that's why people respect to the monks, not the monk, but the robe. And as a result, this robe or chivara, known as the Arhat flag of the Venerable Arhats. And it's been respected by even the animals. And this is the story there. The hunter was rebuked for trying to kill under cover of the yellow robe and for committing such an act of depravity. The hunter clearly did not deserve to put on the yellow robe. So that was the reason why the Buddha spoke of these two stanzas, and which means he who is not free from taints of moral defilements and yet dons the yellow robe, who lacks restraint in his senses and speaks not the truth, is unworthy of the yellow robe. So as a Buddhist monks, it needs to be clear that how much the taints that we are trying to get rid of and how much restraint we have in our senses and how much truthful we are. And the person who is who has abandoned all the defilements and restrain his senses and speaks the truth, they are well deserved wearing the robes. So this is the verse number 9 and 10 from the Dhammapada. So I will close this for today and we'll have a discussion. And anyone has got anything to ask, you're most welcome to ask on